Welcome, creative souls, to the Adult Bedtime Stories for the Creative Soul podcast. I am your host, Kamani, aka the Adult Storyteller, creator of this lovely podcast, author of Shea Butter Rocks, an awesome planner called Play Hardball, Plan Like You Mean It, and the upcoming novel, The Shogun. If you're new here, hello, welcome as well, and I'm glad to have you. We have a short story that will be read tonight. Now, this story is dear to me. It brings to light how sometimes we have dreams that we keep in our back pockets in hopes of growing at a later time. But as we grow, as we live, things begin getting in the way. And sometimes our dreams die. Never stop dreaming, creative people, and definitely enjoy this free episode replay of The Letter. And don't forget to tune in this Wednesday for our Valentine's Day edition. We will be showcasing Missing at Midnight. You don't want to miss it. Enjoy the show. He walked to the mailbox with envelope in hand, eyeing the pedestrians across the street. He squinted his eyes, hoping to verify the 4 numbers etched on the door of the small, quaint apartment building. 104, 105, 106, 107. He whispered as he opened the mailbox door, dropping the envelope into its opening. He wiped his brow, closed the door, walked 25 feet in the opposite direction, and fell to the ground. She awoke with the sun in her face. She wiped her mouth and rolled over. She looked at the clock. 8:28. She grabbed her clothes and began to get dressed. Hey, I'm running late. I don't know. I woke up with a headache at around 6 a.m. and went back to sleep. Totally unavoidable. She rolled her eyes and hung up the phone. Candice looked at herself in the mirror. A clerk by day and student by night, Candice's eyes shone tired with wear. Just 2 more semesters and I'll be free. She twirled around, extending her right leg out, long and graceful. She had always dreamed of being a dancer. She knew once school was over, she'd open a dance studio for children and students like her. She believed she could encourage students to continue to dream. Coming from a single-family home where money and time was scarce, the stress of getting a job to help with bills overshadowed her early dream of dancing on Broadway. So Candice put that dream aside and found a job at an office after high school. She later began taking night classes at a community college for a degree in art. She'd been promoted to clerk, but would still dream of one day dancing as she passed out mail to her colleagues. Candice put her hair in a single bun, grabbed her heels, bag, and locked her door. Outside, the air smelled strong of distress and despair. Police tape blocked the sidewalk across the street as a crowd stood with phones and sad faces. I wonder what happened, she thought to herself as she heard an old lady scream, "It's such a tragedy. He was a good man." Candice zipped through the crowd to the next street over to catch the bus to her job. Are you a fellow podcaster? Are you a writer or author? Do you enjoy the creation process but lack the ability to stay organized with your thoughts? Are you a professional that is desperately seeking a way to increase your productivity? Play Hardball, Plan Like You Mean It is the ultimate guide to help you plan, perfect, and master your time. Get productive in 2024 and start your productivity journey today. Today is the day, she sang to herself as she grabbed her suitcase and purse. She smiled in the mirror as she straightened her collar. She was heading to the bank meeting where she'd get the results of her business loan for the building on 3rd and Thomas, an old 2-story brick building with large windows and hardwood floors. She looked through the windows 1,000 times, dreaming of the students and the dances she'd performed for them. As she walked out of her apartment, she struggled to find her phone buried deep in her purse. "Oh, hi. Yes, this is Candice. I was just heading to meet you. Is there something I need to bring you?" Candice slowed down as she heard the words of the branch loan officer. "Unfortunately, we won't be able to give you the loan. You don't have any collateral, and with this being a startup, I know your projections look good, but there's no way to believe you'll be able to pay us back if it does not work." Candice began to cry. "You said it was approved." "Yes, well, my manager isn't sure anymore. Perhaps you should apply in a few more years once you're making a bit more." Candice hung up the phone. She forgot where she was and sat on the side of the road. "Hey, lady, move out the way. I'm on a bike." A young child zipped past her. Candice put her head in her hands. Later that night, Candice walked slowly home. She had been out all night, sitting in the same spot, and didn't realize what time it was. She grabbed her mail out of its box and headed to her apartment. Sundry moved closer to Talorum. Your father's dagger can give the power to disappear and reappear as you please. I don't just want the dagger. I want to get one of the jewels hidden under the waters. They would not be able to see me, and I would be gone before sunset. Come on, you've never wanted to hold the dagger? Talorum backed up closer toward the door. You'll never get anywhere here without my help, Talorum. Get on the list. Go to tastoryteller.com, and that's tastoryteller.com, and sign up for early release jewels, behind the scenes info, and more. See you there. She threw her keys on the counter and sat down on the couch. She ordered pizza and finally decided to read her mail. No, not reading this bill. No, not that one either. She noticed an envelope with her name on it that she didn't recognize. It did not have a return address. Well, okay, hopefully not another shower invite. I just can't take anyone's happiness right now. She pulled out one letter with cursive writing. I know you don't know me, but I know you. I watched you grow from afar for many years. You've grown into such a smart young lady. I was at your dance recital when you were 10, and the one at 14. Yeah, you were 14, but I left early. I didn't want Judith to know. Your mom hated me for what I did. I lived with it for years. I'm not perfect, but she and I knew it was best for me to stay away. I also went to her funeral last year. I'm sorry for your loss. I know it was hard. She was a good lady. I'm writing to say I love you. I always have. Candice, I'm leaving now. I'm very ill, but I wanted you to know you're the best daughter a dad could ever have, even if he sucked at being a dad. Love you, kiddo. Candice dropped the letter and envelope to the floor and watched as a check for $100,000 fell to the ground. And if you like what you heard and you want to continue experiencing the adult bedtime stories for the Creative Soul podcast, please consider becoming a supporter today. Supporting the podcast is easy. You can choose to give a one-time donation through Buy Me a Coffee. If you're listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, you can give us a 5-star review. I'll definitely appreciate it. And you can become a monthly subscriber through Patreon. Now, with this subscription, you'll receive behind-the-scenes clips, access to listening first parties, and more. If you're listening on Spotify, there is a question, and it says, what do you think about this episode? Please let us know what you think. Now, take a look at the different tiers on Patreon. There is definitely a tier for you. If you're a small business owner and you'd like to scale, we have a tier for you as well. Our new merch is fresh off the block. Our I Listen to the Adult Bedtime Story t-shirts are available now. And again, all links will be provided in the show notes. This Valentine's Day, we have a treat for you. The Adult Bedtime Stories for the Creative Soul podcast will be hosting a Valentine's special on our show. It will only be available for the public that one day. So please tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern for this wonderful event on Valentine's Day, February 14th. You won't want to miss it. Definitely share with your friends and family. I can't wait to see you. And thank you for tuning in to the Adult Listening Party, where we experience engaging short story samples, spicy poems, and inspiration. Your imagination depends on it. Good night, my creative souls.